What's going on, baseball fans? How are we doing? So the positional rankings continue, and in this video, I'm going to go over the first baseman. Let's go talk about it. Let's start off with the 2020 MVP, Jose Abreu. Another very good season last year for Abreu. Hit 261, a 351 on base, a 481 slugging, 30 homers, 117 RBIs. Overall, last year, he ranked 11th in wins above replacement on Fangraphs, and over the last 3 seasons, he's ranked in the top 10. 8th overall going back to 2019. Now, the only thing with Jose Abreu, I think he is very good, extremely good, but I don't think he is top tier. And here's why. If you look at the chase rate, bottom 20%, bottom 30% in whiff rate. He's kind of middle of the pack when it comes to his strikeouts. So with Jose Abreu, I still think he is a very good middle of the order bat. I just don't consider him an S tier, but I definitely think he is an A tier. Let's move on to Jesus Aguilar. A good season last year. Nothing special by any means. Pretty solid. 261, a 329 on base, 459 slugging, 22 home runs. But the 112 WRC plus is a little low for me. I don't think he's a bad bat by any means, but for first base, I personally like a little more pop there. For Aguilar, I'm just going to go with the C. On to the home run derby king, Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso, another very solid season for him. Hit 262, 344 on base, 37 home runs, a 519 slugging, a very good 133 WRC plus. Last year among first basemen, he ranked 10th in Fangraph WAR, and over the last few seasons, he ranked 6th overall. Kind of like Jose Abreu. The only thing with Pete Alonso, if I were to get a little nitpicky, he tends to chase. He was in the bottom 25% in chase rate, in the bottom half in whiff rate. With Pete Alonso, I feel like he is so close to an S tier, but for me, I still think he is just at the A. No knock on him. He's very good. I just feel like I need a little bit more out of Pete Alonso, a little more WRC plus there, and I'll definitely move him up to the S tier, but for now, an A tier. On to Josh Bell. He had himself quite a resurgent season last year. If you go back to 2020, he was awful. Only hit 226, 305 with the on-base, a 364 slugging over the 57 games. He just completely lost his way in that shortened season, whereas in 2019, he was very good then. Hit 277, a 367 on base, 37 homers. Now, he didn't quite get back to that level in 2019, but a very good season for him overall. Hit 261, a 347 on base, 476 slugging, 27 home runs. And the advanced numbers really do look very good with Josh Bell. It looked like going to Washington really helped him out. I think with Josh Bell, I'm going to put him at a B. I don't think he's quite an A, but I think he is very solid. I'll put him at a B. On to Brandon Bell of the San Francisco Giants. He had some good numbers last year. Despite only playing 97 games, he hit 29 home runs, had a 274 batting average, a 378 on base, a 597 slugging. Look at the WRC plus, 158. Are you kidding me? He's one of the better defenders at first base. Overall, a very good season. Now, the only thing with Brandon Bell is he has been dealing with some injuries. He had the broken thumb at the end of last year. He dealt with some knee issues. He's looking like he's going to be okay for opening day, but because of the health, and going back to his last full season when you're playing 156 games, he didn't really produce all that much. And, going back to 2017, 2018, he missed some time then as well. I feel like if he can put up these numbers again in 2022 and just play closer to a full season, I definitely would be willing to put him at an S tier. But for right now, because of the inconsistencies with the health, as well as the inconsistencies with the bat as well, going back the last few years, I'm going to keep him at an A, but those numbers were stellar last year. If he can do it again, I'll go to an S. With Bobby Bradley, you're getting a ton of power. If you take a look at the numbers, 16 home runs over 74 games. That's a very good pace considering that was his rookie season. However, that's pretty much all you're getting right now with Bobby Bradley. Only hit 208, a 294 on base, a 445 slugging, 99 WRC plus. As of right now, I think you have to consider Bobby Bradley an F tier. I definitely think he could keep getting better. The power is real, but we need to see the batting average, the on base, and the WRC plus come up more. On to Ji-Man Choi, one of the best names in the game. With Ji-Man Choi, he's pretty much just going to be a platoon bat at this point. Overall, he had a 348 on base, which is really good, but he only hit 229, 11 home runs, a 411 slugging, a 117 WRC plus. But like I said, he's really just a platoon bat at this point. Look at the WRC plus against righties, a 139 WRC plus, a 374 on base, hit 245 against righties. All 11 of his home runs came against righties last year if we take a look at the splits. With Ji-Man Choi, I don't think he's an F because he does his job very effectively. He fits the Rays very well because they like to do those platoons. With Ji-Man Choi, I'm not going to go an F because he does his job effectively against righties. I'll go a D for Ji-Man Choi. With CJ Cron, I think he's actually pretty underrated. I really liked his numbers last year. Hit 281, a 375 on base, a 530 slugging, a 127 WRC plus, 28 home runs. With CJ Cron, he ranked 15th overall in Fangraph WAR. He can hit the heck out of the ball. Ranked in the top 10% in max exit velocity. He tends to chase, not a very good whiff percentage. I don't think he's one of the best first basemen out there, but I think he's really solid. For CJ Cron, I'll go a B. On to Bobby Dahlbeck on my Red Sox. Bobby Dahlbeck last year, 25 home runs. That's really solid for a rookie season. However, he needs to improve on the strikeouts. If we take a look on Baseball Savant, he was in the bottom 5% in strikeout percentage. This guy struck out a lot last year. It definitely affected his on-base percentage, under 300. The slugging was pretty good, right near 500. But with Bobby Dahlbeck, there's a lot to work on. We got to cut down those strikeouts. We got to get on base a little bit more. With Tristan Casas coming up eventually, will Bobby Dahlbeck be the first baseman of the future? They have been playing him around in different spots at second base and left field as well. With Bobby Dahlbeck, right now, I just see him as a C. The power is really good, but the walks, they need to come up. The strikeouts, they need to come down. I'll put him at a C for now. I mentioned earlier that CJ Cron was underrated, but man, when you want to talk underrated, let's talk Tai France. Really like the season Tai France had last year. Hit 291, a 368 on base percentage. That is really good. If we actually take a look at on base percentage among first basemen last year, Tai France, I ranked 13th overall. That's very solid. But with Tai France, he actually ranked in the top 10 in Fangraph WAR. He was 7th overall. Really liked what he did last year. He got on base. You know, I would like to see some more home runs out of a first baseman. Maybe that's just, you know, personal bias. I like first baseman that can hit some homers. So I would like to see more there. You know, the slugging, 445, I'd like to see that come up. But the WRC plus, 129, that's really solid. Tai France, it was really his first full season, but he showed a lot to me. You know, I'm just going to say it, man. I really like Tai France. I want to put him at an A, but I just want to see a little bit more out of Tai France. Just a little bit more. I'm going to put him at a B. I hate doing that. To me, I think he's a B plus at least. I don't think he's quite there for an A tier. I really want to put him there. I just want to see him do it again. I want the power just to come up a little bit. The guy gets on base. That is really good. He gets a lot of hits. With Tai France, so right now, I gotta go a B. The newest LA Dodger, Freddie Freeman. I mean, what else is there to say? I'm just gonna do it right away. Put him at an S tier. Another fantastic season from Freeman last year. Hit 300, 31 homers, a 393 on base, a 503 slugging, a 135 WRC plus. You know, with Freeman, the one thing, his defense actually did not look as good compared to other years in the past. 2019, he was not great defensively at first, but 2020 in an MVP season, he had a very good defensive number right there. He was in the single digits going from 2015 to 2018. So if I'm going to nitpick, I would like to see this number get a little bit better with Freeman, but I'm not really going to complain at all with Freddie Freeman. He's been the best first baseman in the game going back to 2019. What else is there to say? S tier for Freddie Freeman. For the next one, we're going to stay in the S tier. Paul Goldschmidt. This guy continues to be one of the best first basemen in the game. If we go back to 2019 with Paul Goldschmidt, a lot of people thought maybe this guy was starting to decline. His batting average went down. His on base went down. His slugging went down. He still had 34 homers and 97 RBIs, but 2020, he got those numbers back up. Well, not the slugging really, but the slugging this past year definitely went back up to a 514. So that was up around, what, 50 points from 2020, 40 points from 2019. On base percentage, that was still really solid at 365. Batting average got back up there. 31 homers, 99 RBIs. Even threw in 12 stolen bases. With Paul Goldschmidt as well, you're going to get a great glove. 9 defensive runs saved last year. I mean, what else is there to say? Paul Goldschmidt, easily one of the best first basemen in the game. Here's a guy that I think doesn't get appreciated enough, Yuli Gurriel. Yuli Gurriel, man, really solid numbers last year. The guy hit 319, a 383 on base. Now, the slugging and the home runs, I would like for those to come up. 15 home runs like last year, I would like for that to pop up a little bit. And the slugging, 462, I'd like for that to climb up there as well. But Yuli Gurriel, man, this guy, he's just been putting together some solid seasons. You know, 2020, a bit of a downer, but 2019, very good. 298, 343 on base, a 541 slugging. He did have 31 home runs that year. So let's see if we can get those home runs back up. I really like Yuli Gurriel. I love that he gets on base a ton. I love the batting average with him. I'm going to go an A for Yuli Gurriel. I feel like this guy, he needs to get appreciated a little bit more. That Phillies lineup is starting to look really good with Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos, but don't forget about Rhys Hoskins. Rhys Hoskins, man, he did miss some time last year, only played 107 games, but in those 107 games, 27 home runs, pretty good on base of 334, a 530 slugging, a 127 WRC plus. With Rhys Hoskins, man, I really like the power that he brings to the table. This guy, I mean, yeah, his batting averages have been pretty low, but the on-base percentages have been really good. With Rhys Hoskins, you know, it's just the injuries last year. He missed some time. I think that kind of set him back just a smidge. And another thing with Rhys Hoskins, -7 defensive runs saved. He's not the best defensive first baseman out there. So for those couple of reasons, I'm not going to quite put him at an A. I think he is really close, but for now, I'm going to go with a B. Here is an interesting one, Eric Hosmer. Man, has this contract just not been good. Eric Hosmer with the Royals, he was just so solid, but ever since coming to the Padres, he has just not been able to put it together. 2020 was actually looking pretty good, but then he went away with COVID, and then he just never really got it together. But he did have a 517 slugging there. So I was actually thinking, man, hey, you know what? Maybe 2021 going to be a good season for Eric Hosmer, and just not really anything. I mean, 269 average, a 337 on base. That's not terrible, but under a 400 slugging. Oh, man, I don't know with Eric Hosmer, man. I think it's easy to want to go to an F, but with Eric Hosmer, there's still a good player in there. I really do. You know, maybe I'm going with my heart a little bit, but I'm not ready to put him at an F just yet. I want to give him one more shot. Let's see if he can have himself a good year. I'm not going to go F just yet with Hosmer. Let's see what he can do in 2022. For now, I'm going to go with a D. Sure, the Rangers added Marcus Semien and Corey Seager, but don't forget about Nate Lowe. This guy had himself a really good season last year. Hit 264, a very good on base of 357. The only thing with Nate Lowe is I just need that power to start coming up a little bit. 18 home runs, a 415 slugging, 115 WRC plus. There is power there with him. He has a 65 raw power grade on Fangraphs. They're giving him a future value of 60 in game power. So I'm definitely waiting for the home runs to start coming in, but right now he's still working his way there. But the fact that he gets on base at a good rate, I really like that with Nate Lowe. For right now, I think he's really solid. I'm going to put him at a B. Man, if he can get himself 30, 35 home runs this year, very possible he could be an A tier by the end of the year. On to another young first baseman, Ryan Mountcastle. Now, we were talking about with Nate Lowe, how the guy gets on base very well, but just want to see some more power. With Ryan Mountcastle, kind of the opposite. He's going to give you some power. He needs to work on getting on base a little bit more. Last year, Ryan Mountcastle in his rookie season, 33 home runs. That led all rookies last year in home runs. So off to a very good start in his career. I just want Ryan Mountcastle to start getting on base a little bit more. Only a 309 on base, hit 255. Again, home runs 33, 487 slugging. That's really good. And the WRC plus, that needs to come up too. So let's try and get on base a little bit more. Let's get some more hits. Ryan Mountcastle off to a very good start in his career. For him, I'm going to go with a B. Earlier, we talked about the newest Dodger, Freddie Freeman, but let's talk about his replacement in Atlanta. I mean, one of the best replacements you could ever have. Matt Olson. This guy had a phenomenal year last year. Hit 271, 39 homers, a 371 on base, a 540 slugging, a 146 WRC plus. Are you kidding me? with Matt Olson. Overall, he ranked second in Fangraph WAR, only behind Vlad Jr. Also, you're going to be getting some very good defense out of him. If we take a look at Matt Olson and the advanced numbers, he had 6 defensive runs saved. He had a 1.4 UZR, just really solid out there. He's easily one of the best first basemen in the game. S tier for Matt Olson. Let's talk about one of the more solid veteran first basemen out there, Anthony Rizzo, first baseman for the Yankees, just signed a new deal this past offseason. With Anthony Rizzo, not a bad season last year between the Cubs and the Yankees. Hit 248, 22 homers, a 344 on base, a 440 slugging, a 112 WRC plus. With Anthony Rizzo, you know, those numbers have taken a step back a little bit. 2019, he was very good that year, had almost a 4 wins above replacement on Fangraphs, so that dropped over 2 points. So Anthony Rizzo has taken a bit of a step back here, even defensively as well. I mean, if you look at 2018, 2019, 2020, putting up good defensive numbers, both defensive runs saved and the UZR, but last year, -6 defensive runs saved, pretty much at a 0 with the UZR. Anthony Rizzo has taken a step back in his career, at least as of last year. So let's see how a full season at Yankee Stadium, what that can do for him. I definitely think it's going to help him. But for right now, I think he has taken a bit of a step back, and I can only go a B for Anthony Rizzo right now. Hey, have a good season, and I think he could go back to that A tier, but definitely took a step back, so I'm going to go B with Anthony Rizzo. Let's move on to the power-hitting Miguel Sano. 30 home runs last year, but with Sano, only hit 223, only a 312 on base, a 466 slugging. With him, he's pretty much just a power guy. You're not really going to get anything out of him defensively. -5 defensive runs saved last year, a -6.4. I mean, sure, home runs are nice, but you know, overall as a first baseman, I can only go C right now. If you didn't have the power numbers, you would definitely be more of a D, but 30 home runs, that bumps him up to a C. Carlos Santana in 2019 was really good. If you take a look at those numbers, he had 281 that year with a 397 on base, a 515 slugging, he had 34 home runs, 93 RBIs, but ever since then, he just hasn't really been able to put anything together. He did have 19 home runs last year, but he only hit 214, a 319 on base, a 342 slugging. He's not really going to do much defensively out there. I mean, I don't know. Carlos Santana, man, he's really dropped off. You know, even in 2020, despite, you know, a good on base of 349, only hit 199, a 350 slugging. So I don't know what's going on with that bat, but Carlos Santana, I got to put him at an F right now. I don't see really how else I can put him any higher. Let's talk about a feel-good story from last year, Frank Schwendell. Frank Schwendell, for pretty much his entire career, has played in the minor leagues. He came up a little bit in 2019 in 6 games for the Royals, but other than that, not really anything. But last year, man, he busted out. If you take a look at these numbers from Schwendell last year, 64 games, he hit 326, a 371 on base, a 591 slugging, 14 home runs, a 152 WRC plus. Good grief. Are you kidding me? These are phenomenal numbers. Schwendell, right? I mean, this guy, if he can keep doing that, man, this is going to be one of the better first basemen in the game. Right now, I am going to keep him at a C. I know that might bug some Cubs fans, but I just want to see more. I just want to see if he can do it again over a full season, and then easily he'll be up to a B, maybe even an A. But right now, I just want to see more. I'm going to keep him at a C. On to Rowdy Teles, one of my favorite names in the game, but man, these numbers just weren't good last year. With the Milwaukee Brewers, only hit 242, 11 homers, a 305 on base, a 414 slugging, an 89 WRC plus. He was in the negatives on Fangraph WAR. I mean, I'm not really going to get too much into this with Rowdy Teles. There is definitely a bat in there. Going back to the Blue Jays in shortened 2020 season, over 35 games, he hit 283 with a 346 on base and a 540 slugging. But you know, we got to see a little bit more out of Teles here. I will say with Milwaukee, he definitely hit better last year, but over a full season did not really produce. But with Milwaukee last year, over 56 games, he hit 272. He had a better on base of 333. He had a better slugging of 481. So Rowdy Teles, I gotta see him do this over a full season. I think with Rowdy Teles right now, I am only willing to go a C, and I think I am being a little nice there. I know he did hit well with the Brewers, but with the Blue Jays last year, he was abysmal. So if he can keep it going with the Brewers, I definitely think he can stay in this area. But for right now, I'm going to go C. I was actually really close to going with a D because the overall numbers just weren't very good. And actually, if we take a look at the WAR last year, you know, was a 0.4 with the Brewers, so that definitely could come up a little bit. The defense could be a little bit better. I'll be a little generous here. I'll give him a bit of a break. I'll go with a C, just based off of what he did with the Brewers. After going to Japan last year, Eric Thames makes his return to the major leagues in 2022. Again, he went to Japan last year, had a leg injury. He only played 9 games overall, but in those 9 games, he hit 500. He had a 645 on base. He had over an 1100 slugging. Are you kidding me? But got hurt, ended up only playing 9 games overall. Going back to his last season in the major leagues in 2020 with the Nationals, didn't really do anything. Only hit 203 over the 41 games, a 300 on base, a 317 slugging. You know, with Eric Thames, I think he's got to go back to the bottom here at an F. I mean, I just don't know. There's not really much to base it off of. He didn't really play last year. He didn't do well in 2020. So for right now, Eric Thames, I mean, hey, I'd love that monster bat to come back and thrive in the major leagues again, but for right now, I got to go F. On to one of the top prospects in the game, Spencer Torkelson. Man, this guy's bat is going to be really good. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, he hasn't even won the job out of spring training yet. I think he is going to win that job. As of right now, Fangraphs, they are projecting him to be at first base. I think he's going to get the job. I mean, to me, you know, let's just get this guy to the major leagues now. I don't think he needs to spend any more time in the minor leagues. Maybe a little more time in AAA, but let's just have him go up against some major league pitching. This guy coming out of the draft a couple of years ago, people were saying he was already ready for the major leagues. So let's just get him up to first base for the Tigers right now. In the minor leagues so far with Spencer Torkelson, man, he put up some good numbers last year between AA and AAA. He had 25 home runs. Really good on base numbers. Had a 373 on base in AA, a 350 on base in AAA, a slugging of 560 in AA, 531 in AAA. This guy is going to be really good. He's got a special bat. With Torkelson, we have to wait and see on the defense. They're still working with him a lot out there in the field. But with Torkelson, I think this bat is going to be really special. For now, I'm going to put him at a C. I think he could end up making an impact this year with the Tigers, but look out for him in the next 10 years, man. He's going to be very good. Let's talk about the former Tampa Bay Ray, Yoshi Sasugo. There's just not a lot going on here. Only hit 217, a 307 on base, a 383 slugging, a 90 WRC plus, 8 home runs. There's just not a lot going on here. Let's see if he can reinvent himself a little bit with the Pirates, but I'm not going to take a lot of time here. We're going to go F for Sasugo. Now let's go to the other end of the spectrum, Vlad Jr. I mean, this guy was just phenomenal last year. The only reason he didn't win the MVP was because of the modern-day Babe Ruth, Shohei Ohtani. Are you kidding me? Look at these numbers. Hit 311, a 401 on base, a 601 slugging, 48 home runs, a 166 WRC plus, all totaling out to be a 6.7 Fangraphs WAR. Among first basemen, that easily led the league, or the major leagues among first basemen in Fangraph WAR. He was third in WAR for all of Major League Baseball, only behind Shohei Ohtani and Trey Turner. I mean, what else is there to say? S tier, easily. He is a favorite for the MVP this year. Will he get it? We'll have to wait and see. Joey Votto had quite a resurgence last year. I mean, this guy put up some great numbers. Hit 266, a 375 on base, a 563 slugging, a 140 WRC plus, 36 home runs. Good grief. Those are great numbers. And at 38 years old, and also considering the fact that he had a few downer years, 2018, 2019, 2020. I mean, just not really great numbers, but man, this guy really got it together last year. He got the power stroke back on. 36 home runs total. He got the slugging up over 100 points. He got the on base up over 20 points. He got the batting average up over 40 points from 2020. I mean, just very good. Now, the question is Joey Votto an S tier or an A tier? Here's a couple of reasons why I'm going to keep him at an A tier for right now. I want to see those numbers again. I want to see if he can do it again. And also, he's not getting any younger. So that is definitely a big question mark for me. Can he put up those numbers again? I definitely think he could. Joey Votto, he has really got himself back on track. I really am excited to see what he can do in 2022. Hey, if he can put up those numbers again, this guy's an S tier. But for now, I'm going to stick at an A. So we've talked about offense with the last two guys, and now let's talk about a guy not so much with the offense. Christian Walker. If we take a look at the numbers last year, only hit 244, 10 homers, a 315 on base, a 382 slugging, and an 87 WRC plus. He definitely was going through some injuries last year, only played 115 games, but we're going to need Christian Walker to start kind of, getting back on track a little bit. In 2019, he was good in 2019, had 29 home runs, 73 RBIs, and defensively, he is one of the better defensive first basemen out there. 2019, he had 9 defensive runs saved, and last year in 2021, 4 defensive runs saved. So definitely going to give you some good defense. We just need that bat to get back on track. With Christian Walker, I'll go a C because I do like the defense, and he has the potential to, hit close to 30 home runs, but he is in danger of falling down here. But for now, I'll keep him at a C. And last but not least, the replacement for Albert Pujols with the Angels, Jared Walsh. This guy had a great year last year. Look at the numbers that he had: a 277 average, a 340 on base, a 509 slugging, 29 home runs, a 127 WRC plus. Very solid. Jared Walsh really brought it with the bat. If we go take a look at the defense with Jared Walsh, that's somewhere where I think he could get a little better. Last year, -2 defensive runs saved, a UZR of 0.7. Let's see if he can get better there. But Jared Walsh, man, 28 years old, I think he can still definitely get better. I really like the season that he had. Maybe for some people this might be a little generous, but you know what? I'm going to go A for Jared Walsh. He really impressed me last year. Really good overall numbers. I'm going to go A for Jared Walsh. So those are my rankings for first baseman heading into 2022. Tell me what you think down below. Do you think some guys are too high, too low, just about right? Do you think I'm a moron? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. But that's all I have for right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.